is jazz in Pokemon, and it's honestly pretty incredible. And in 2006, this was somewhat of a revelation in video game technology, thanks to the Nintendo DS, because the soundtrack for the Pokemon Gen 4 games had no business being this good. I mean, first of all, wait a second. All we have to do is look at that very first chord change to be like, oh, okay. Right there. What is that? Very simple. It's just a G major 7 chord. Something like that. That's just like a little flourish in the beginning, and immediately... Okay. We jump up a minor third from G major 7 to B flat major 7 for not really any reason other than it sounds incredible. So we have this intro, and then we go, how's it go? Yeah. Okay, and then this just goes so many cool places just immediately without even waiting to get into it at all. It's just like, here, have some amazing harmony. Okay, there were some cool things going on in there, and you might have not even noticed it because it sounded, well, kind of conventional. But when we look a little deeper, there's actually some really cool things going on here. Let's listen to that again. There's our B flat major 7 chord, but then we have this. What's going on there, right? Something like that, right? But this chord, what is that, right? Because I think there's a few different options as to what it could be. Because what's coming next is we simply resolve to an F major 7 chord. So what this is sort of telling me is that we might expect this to be like a B flat major 7. And we could expect the 5 going into that F major 7. That would be very conventional and make a lot of sense. However, that would be too easy because what we have going on here instead is we leave our root as B flat, and that could potentially do some really interesting things to this chord. We started regular old B flat major 7, and then all we did is we took the F of this chord and dropped it to there, right? And so as soon as we drop it to there, that would work really well as a voicing of C7. But instead of doing that, we leave it there, which makes you go, well, what is that? Is that still B flat major 7, except now we're doing like a flat 5, right? So we're taking our 5th of that chord and we're dropping it by a half step. Maybe that's just a B flat major 7 with a flat 5. That's a beautiful sound, isn't it? And in some ways, I think it's much more intriguing than just letting it become a 5 chord. Now, I want to remind you, we are 10 seconds into this piece, and this is, of course, Lake from the Pokemon Diamond soundtrack. And we have the exact same thing there. Wait a second. We just did the same thing. In B flat major, we had this. And then we had... But we have that same exact chord that we had in B flat. Now we have it in F, right? That's just such a gorgeous chord. Taking a major 7th chord and taking the 5 and dropping it a half step, making it a flat 5. Beautiful. Notice our melody. I didn't even notice that. Our melody is the sharp 11. So just in the root of the chord and the melody alone, we have a tritone going on here. But would you ever think of it as being dissonant like a tritone is? No, because in context, it sounds beautiful. That's the beauty of adding notes, spreading out some of these maybe more dissonant intervals and hiding them inside of all these other gorgeous intervals. It can make something that should be a really kind of dissonant sound and just make it beautiful. It's in there. That's in there, right? There it is. There it is. But when we put it like that, it's just beautiful. So I didn't even notice the fact that the melody is that E natural over a B flat major 7 chord because it fits so well and it sounds so consonant despite it being a tritone, which is one of the most dissonant intervals that we can play. Oh my god. Okay, hold on. Wait. Where did we hear that before? G major 7 with that ninth. That was what we introed with. We played that little flourish before we immediately started our B flat major 7 melody. Now here we are bringing that G major 7 back in, and we start a whole new section with it. Yeah. Oh. Okay, wait. Hold on. This section is packed full of incredible harmony. And it's amazing how, like, I mean, when you really break it down, it's not necessarily all that complex. It's just the way it's implemented and the context in which it's implemented makes it incredibly beautiful. The composition here is incredible. And the fact that, as we know with video game music, the idea behind a lot of it is that it's intended to loop very smoothly and seamlessly. And it's also meant to be something that you can listen to for extended periods of time without it becoming tiresome or annoying. And we see that exact thing happening here because we started out, we had our section in B flat, and then we have this whole other section to give us something new to check out, and this goes through a bunch of beautiful chord sequences. In order to get back to where we started, because we need to start this whole thing over again. So we need to get here somehow. Now, could we just go D major 7 and then just go right to it? I mean, yeah, you could, sure, that'd be fine, but like, why not go ahead and throw something really cool in there? I don't even know. I mean, this motion, you're going from a D chord to a G chord to a B flat chord. Connecting them that way, it's not necessarily that it's like a device that you would typically expect to see used in that context, but it just works so well because we have this beautiful major 7th chord. Then we have a sus13 chord, which is also an absolutely gorgeous chord, and that brings us right to B flat major 7. It doesn't even bring us there, it just kind of creates a jumping point for our ear to get from place to place to place. But I mean, for a Pokemon soundtrack for Nintendo DS in 2006, unreal. And you know, this was such a big deal because prior to the DS, the Game Boy Advance didn't have nearly the hardware capabilities to create sound in the same way. The Game Boy Advance had no dedicated sound chip, which meant that the CPU had to handle basically everything. And it only had 6 channels available for sound. Fast forward to the Nintendo DS, and all of a sudden we go from 6 channels to 16 channels. It could deal with all types of different audio codecs and things. It basically gave composers a lot more leeway to use higher quality sound. Higher quality samples and more layers, which allowed building much richer instrumentation. I mean, it just had so much more capability than the Game Boy Advance that came before it. And so for the first time, we get a soundtrack like this that uses all of this type of instrumentation, and we can create some really, really cool things harmonically. I mean, video game composers did incredible work within the limitations of the hardware that came before it, but this was just like, oh, come on. We're getting closer to literally being able to just put an MP3 file into a game. They're gonna take advantage of that. Okay. We were in one home base, and then we shifted to a new home base. That's gotta be the weirdest transition I've ever heard. Listen to that again. We just resolved. We're in this nice, comfortable home base of D major 7, and then we get this. Where are we gonna go? We just hit the 5 chord, A, B flat major. Where next? D flat major 7? It's just such an interesting transition, but it sounds super cool. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, man. this is all dealing in like triplets, like da 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 da. That made no sense at all, but this whole soundtrack is just full of unexpectedly in-depth composition. When you have such brilliant composers like the ones that have worked on these games, what else do you expect, I guess? Pokemon games for the Nintendo DS had such rich musical content. Let me know what your favorite track from this soundtrack was. I might have to dig further into this in a future video because I can't pack it all into one. There's just too much good stuff. But anyways, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.